One more superhero movie? Sounds boring and unimpressive since there are way too many of them right now. The Umbrella Academy seems suspiciously similar to the Dark Phoenix saga, with a little girl being tricked about the true nature of her powers. But the series has the great touch of being a fresh family drama, with some pretty cool plot twists that make us love the show. Watch this breakdown of the Easter eggs present in each episode and feel it bring a greater level of conspiracy to the show. What's drawn on the walls? What new superpower is Klaus hinted to have? And be aware, spoiler alert! Episode 1. We only see each other at weddings and funerals. Just before we jump into the Easter eggs, we have to admit that probably not all of you guys have read the Umbrella Academy comics. If you are one of them, don't worry, we'll cover that backstory for you as well. On the back of the book, we can see an endorsement signed by Gerard Way. The name does not stand out much if you haven't read the comics or listened to the rock bands of the 2000s. Gerard Way is the author of the Umbrella Academy comics and the former lead vocalist of the rock band My Chemical Romance. We have to admit, the series inherited a lot of Way's grotesque style. So, we got a chance to meet the creator of the story from the very beginning. Thumbs up if you want to see Way perform on screen in Season 2. One more peculiar detail we noticed in the first episode was a peanut butter and marshmallow sandwich. Even though the kids did not really appreciate having Vanya around, she still loved her siblings a lot. As Pogo revealed in the episode, Vanya kept leaving peanut butter and marshmallow sandwiches out at night, in case Five found his way home.
I'm pretty sure I stepped in half those peanut butter and marshmallow sandwiches.
And a fluffernutter sandwich is the first thing Five has when he gets home. Even a serial killer at the age of 60 likes a sweet treat. Anyway, one more comics reference was hidden in Hagreeves' study. When Alison discovered Klaus stealing money, they showed a newspaper cutout about the Eiffel Tower. It was a reference to the first comic book issue, the day the Eiffel Tower went berserk. According to the comics, the Eiffel Tower was secretly a spaceship designed and controlled by the zombie robot Gustav Eiffel. Of course, the Umbrella Academy was forced to save the day, but they were already missing Five, who vanished just the day before. Episode 2. Run Boy Run. The episode starts with a flashback at the dinner table. Here we see Luther and Alison flirting with their eyes, Diego scratching the table with his favorite knives, and Klaus already developing his dangerous passion. And we see Ben reading a book by Anton Chekhov. We cannot see which book he is reading, but fan theory suggests that there are more connections to Russian writer Chekhov than it seems. First off, there's a literature term, Chekhov's gun, a dramatic principle that states that every element in a story must be necessary. Elements should not appear to make false promises by never coming into play. So it could be the first indication that Ben himself is a Chekhov's gun, and he may play an even more important role in the future. At least, we hope so. Plus, Vanya's name. There's a theory on Reddit that number 7 is named after Chekhov's play Uncle Vanya, in which Vanya gave many years of his life to a professor, in our case Hagreeves, but felt undervalued and was seeking love and appreciation. Sounds a lot like number 7's story, right? On the other hand, there's a theory suggesting that the name has to do with Zarbomb, nicknamed Big Ivan, long for Vanya. The connection is clear regarding Vanya's destructive force. The scene from the future after her killer powers were revealed looked a lot like after bombing. Talking about that scene, the boy discovered the bodies of his siblings under the ruins. Well, all of them but Vanya. The first Easter egg is that Vanya is not there because she is the cause of the mess. Episode 3. Extraordinary. Do you remember how the 10th episode ended with a massive ray of Vanya's power damaging the moon? Turns out the Academy's mom somewhat predicted the explosion when she stitched a picture of the moon with a big chunk of it breaking off, basically giving us a hint as to what will happen in the end. Episode 4. Man on the Moon. Poor Five was very much depressed after his return home, and it's clear why. Though it's still amusing to see a 13-year-old kid talking like an adult and getting wasted. In the heat of such amusing adult depression, Diego and Luther found drunk number 5 in the library when he started to write his calculations. And right in the next episode, we see what's left of the library walls, covered in these exact calculations. Episode 5. Number 5. There was just a scene with Luther walking around a room, but a super attentive fan noticed a peculiar detail on the wallpapers. There was a drawing of a boy that pulled a cart with a mannequin in it, just like Five was also pulling Dolores in a cart at the beginning of the episode. Aidan Gallagher, who plays number 5, tweeted back, saying, "There's stuff like this planted all over the place. You have to watch for it." So the wallpaper suggests that Hagreeves knew that all along, making us wonder whether it's a hint that 5 and old Hagreeves are actually the same person. That makes some sense, since number 5 is the only one whose name is not disclosed, and Reginald somehow knew that the apocalypse was going to come. However, in the comics, he appears to be an alien, so it's possible for the drawings to be a hint about something else. Episode 6, The Day That Wasn't.
The boxes, the reports, the samples, all the correspondence I sent down from the moon.
I'm not sure.
In the 6th episode, Luther discovered that Hagreeves never read his reports from the moon. In that scene, we saw a cabinet with Adam and Eve carving statues next to the forbidden fruit tree. Perhaps it is a reference to Luther and Alison's relationship, not being blood-related siblings, but sharing one father, alluding to the original sin. Episode 7, The Day That Was. The episode starts with a flashback to Harold Jenkins, aka Vanya's boyfriend, childhood. Playing with his figures, he references the comic's greatest villain and the Academy's longtime nemesis, Dr. Terminal.
I'll save you from the evil Dr. Terminal.
In that comics issue, Dr. Terminal's answer, Vanya becomes a white violin. So perhaps Dr. Terminal's reference is an allusion to Harold being the indirect cause of Vanya's reincarnation into the white violin. There's also one more super massive hint about Klaus in this episode. When Klaus and Ben were walking down the alley, we clearly saw 2 shadows. But it's impossible for a ghost to have one. Maybe it's a prompt about Klaus having much greater powers. What if he just doesn't talk to dead people but can also bring them back to life? That's a very promising hint, because we are all looking for a way for Ben to come back to our world. Episode 8, I Heard a Rumor. When Alison is putting her daughter to bed, she is making more references to the Eiffel Tower incident.
One more story, Mommy. I want to hear the one about the Eiffel Tower.
No, Claire, it's
Alison's daughter is holding a monkey in that same scene, which is pretty curious considering her mother's relationship with Luther. And there are a lot of monkeys in the show. We have Pogo, of course, and Luther's ape-like body. Episode 9, Changes. In the series, Vanya does not look like White Violin from the comics, but we were given a nice metaphor with Alison's blood running down Vanya's neck like the violin strings. Chilling. Episode 10, The White Violin. No one has figured out what this red lady's problem is yet, but she has appeared in the show no less than 3 times already. One may think the casting director didn't want to look for more actors, but it's more likely there's something behind these events in the story. First, we met this lady in the 1st episode when the Academy stopped his bank robbery as children. She was one of the hostages. She also approached the Academy at the bowling alley, thinking 5 was a kid who needed a friend to play with. And it's the same woman who witnessed Klaus time travel from a bus. Do you think it's a trick from the directors in an attempt to fool us, or a hint at some events to follow? Meanwhile, the show features a lot of Gerard Way covers and songs. But Barracuda by Heart is the coolest song reference in the episode. Ann Wilson wrote that song in anger after her record company spread rumors about her and her sister having an affair. Vanya is closely bonded Alison on the show, and Alison's power is spreading rumors. Pretty symbolic. All in all, it looks like the Umbrella Academy is a great series that can serve as an example for other shows and how to include amazing Easter eggs. Have you noticed any other Easter eggs in the show? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel.